This is the Business Her Way podcast with your host, Judi Paré, the show where powerhouse women share how they lead, grow, and give back.
All right. Good afternoon, Kelly Caldwell. We are here together, and I know that it's been a little while since you and I have caught up, but I'm excited to see what you're up to and excited to see what you're going to be doing in the future. So, welcome to Business Her Way, a podcast by Judi Paré. That's me. And thank you for joining us. I've got all sorts of things that I want to talk to you about today, and I want to get all caught up and just see how things are going in your neck of the woods. So before we get into the business, how are you doing? How are things going for you right now?
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Things are going great. Things are going really, really well. I cannot complain. The last year has definitely had some ups and downs, but overall, it's been really spectacular. And we've achieved. My husband Jeff and I have achieved some of our big long-term goals, which you never are really sure that that's going to pan out the way you want it to, but it's happening. And so
Mhm.
we're really happy, and things are going really well.
So tell me about your business then. So, like, what does the normal day at this stage in your business look like?
Oh my goodness. So every day is different.
Mhm.
In terms of my business, I've got, I wear a number of different hats. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Southern Georgian Bay. And then I also have my real estate investment business.
Mhm.
So every day can look relatively different, but for sure, I try and keep a consistent schedule when it comes to certain things. I find that consistency is really, really important. Um, I'm usually up pretty early. I've got kids of my own, got dogs in the house, we've got people coming and going. So we're up, we're doing breakfast, we're doing, packing school bags, all the rest of it. We're on the road by 7:30. And I have dropped children off and I'm into the office by 8:30. And then I spend my mornings doing meetings and trying to get all of my inbox cleared. That's always my top priority in the morning is like inbox zero. That's my big goal.
Oh my
And
gosh, I wish
then
I were more like you.
yeah, it's like a game every morning. Can I get it to inbox zero? And then if I can, I like to sneak a workout in the afternoon. And then the majority of my afternoon is, more out in the field stuff. So whether I'm doing showings with clients or I'm out meeting contractors or I'm meeting new investors, what have you, the majority of my afternoons are face to face with my people.
Right. And so it's not just real estate buyers or sellers that you're dealing with. You're also dealing with investors. And you said your clients and your people. Who are your people?
I mean, it's a mix of a bunch of different things. Some of my clients and investors have been with us since the very beginning when we started this journey. So they've been with me for nearly 10 years now. And some people are new. I've always got people that are coming to me through word of mouth, whether they're just looking to purchase residential real estate for themselves or they're looking to invest in the area, or sometimes I've still got people that are coming to us that are looking to do joint venture partnerships. So we're having those conversations. Um, it just depends. I've got a lot of people, and all the relationships are really unique, and I love them all. All my relationships are really, really positive. So I'm very lucky that way.
Was this like a business that you planned? Like, did you intentionally plan this or did it evolve?
It totally, totally evolved.
Hmm.
Um, as you worked with me at the very beginning of my real estate investment journey, quite closely. And when I began my investment journey, my husband and I kind of wrote down what our 5-year goals were at the very beginning. And that was in 2016. And, our 5-year goal at that time was to acquire 6 doors,
Hmm.
that we could have as investment income. We could have,
Yeah.
it was all long-term buy and hold. And we were hoping to have those, acquire them, have them for 5 years, and then be able to sell them off. um, at the time that we started that, I was running a home daycare, so I was juggling that as well. And I did one, I did two, I did three, and then people kind of started getting wind of what I was doing
Mhm.
and started coming to me and wanting to do joint venture partnerships. And so I started doing that with them. And then it just evolved organically. It evolved into its own business that definitely holds more than six doors at this point.
Okay.
And kind of one thing led to another. So, I started out with joint ventures with people, and then the portfolio grew, and then we needed to add a contracting company and a property management company. And it just kept going and going, but it all made sense in the natural order of things. We grew one door at a time to where we are now.
Do you mind me asking how many you have now or where you're at now?
Yeah, we've got a pretty substantial portfolio. We're at 42 right now.
Wow, good for
So
you.
we're managing, we're doing well, I think.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
What do you think when people think about joint ventures or they think about real estate or you as a real estate agent, what's something
Mhm.
that people often misunderstand about what you do?
That it's easy. I think
Right.
a lot of it, people have this misunderstanding that because I am in the position of the active working partner for the most part, for most
Mhm.
of our joint venture partnerships, that I don't have a net worth and I don't have money, which
Mhm.
is not sure. So that's an important differentiation, because when you're entering into a joint venture partnership, the deal is, yes, while I may be getting 50% of the profits, if the share is 50-50, it also means that I'm on the hook for 50% of the losses.
And
So,
the debt.
when you're right. So when you're going out and you're doing these joint venture partnerships, if that's something that people are interested in looking into, you need to make sure that your active partner has some form of financial stability as well, because that inevitably comes into play, and it comes into play more often, I think, than people realize.
Right.
Um, and I think the other thing is people don't, um, they undervalue what that percentage of the relationship, what people do to get that.
Right.
There's a lot of work that's involved, a lot of back end systems that have to be set up, a lot of management in terms of contractors going in and out, and tenants day to
Mhm.
day, and receiving rent rolls, and there's a lot of moving parts that our financial partners don't see. And so there's this assumption that oh, well, they just went in and did a renovation and they get 50% of the profit. There's a lot more. There's a whole term that's got to be adhered to here.
Well, there's also the acquisition, right? You're out there hustling
Yeah.
and finding the properties and finding these things for people. And it may feel easier to you now, and it was once probably harder, but I think that now something, I just wonder what feels easy to you now that was really hard before. Was it the acquisition phase? Because now you have access to more information being a real estate agent.
I don't know that anything is easier. I think it's just
Mhm.
more familiar.
Okay.
So I remember at the beginning, when I first started analyzing properties, everything felt like hard work, because I was
Mhm.
learning this new skill, right?
Sure.
I would put it all into a calculator and be like, okay, if I bought this for 500 and I put 20% down, and I would go through the whole thing. Whereas now I've analyzed hundreds and hundreds of properties. I can look at an MLS listing and go, okay, the purchase price is 500. I know what my annual ROI is going to be, what my 5-year projections are, all the rest of
Right.
it. So I think it's just become more familiar. And
Hmm.
the piece about second guessing yourself,
Hmm.
that nervous feeling that you get when you're doing something, I've learned to reframe it.
Right.
So I worked with a sports psychologist, and he was really good, and he was like, when you think about nervousness and
Hmm.
everything that's involved with it, I want you to reframe it to be excitement, because the things that you feel in your body are identical. That feeling in the pit of your stomach, the sweaty hands, dry throat, all of the feelings are identical. It's just that you have told yourself that you're nervous. You need to reframe it in your mind to tell yourself you're excited, You've done the due diligence. You know on paper that this works. It's a
Right.
risk, but it's a calculated risk. There's no
Right.
need to be nervous. Be excited. So that was
That's
a big mindset shift as well.
that's amazing. I read something similar as well about oh, you don't have to be oh, what was it? Something about not being scared. Being scared is not the same as being fearless, and or
Mhm.
vice versa. It says you can still do hard things, and being brave is just doing it when you're scared.
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
it's like, and you're reframing this and saying, okay, well, I used to be nervous about this thing. Now I'm super excited because I know that the performance is going to work. I know the numbers are going to work and I can just move forward with it. And you probably, that's a skill. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest skills that you've learned that has helped you with your growth, right? Is there another skill that you think that has made a bigger difference in your growth?
The mindset thing is huge.
Hmm.
Um, and the other thing it has been grit. I mean,
Mm.
I don't know. I don't even know if, that's something that's talked about enough.
You
It,
can't teach
it,
it.
you can't teach it. And man, through the pandemic, through COVID,
Hmm.
over the last couple of years, the world has taught me you need grit. You need
Yeah.
grit because it's not, it hasn't been easy. And, I'm certainly not just referring to myself, tons and tons of people have struggled through real estate over the last several of years. And
Hmm.
it's just a matter of like getting up and do it again and do it again and do it again and get knocked back down and do it again and again and again, even when
Right.
you don't want to, right? And
Yeah.
even when your feelings are in the way, real estate isn't about emotion, right? And you can let your
No, it's
feelings
about
get in the
math.
way, right? So it's just get up, get over yourself, have your 5 emotional minutes, and keep
Yeah.
on going.
Yeah, no, and I think that's probably something you had to unlearn a few things as you scaled, right? Like
Yeah.
some of them are just our limited beliefs, right? And what's the number one thing that you think you had to unlearn?
Whew. The number one thing I had to unlearn is
Hmm.
that hard work doesn't guarantee success.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be strategic. It's got to be calculated. You
Hmm.
can't just go out and buy an asset and think if I work really hard on this and I put $100,000 into it, that it's going to be a reward. Like, no, that is not how this game is calculated. Yes, there is hard work, absolutely, but there's got to be some real due diligence behind it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's so right. Like just in the way that you frame that is hard work does not guarantee success. There,
Mhm.
there has to be some strategy behind it. There's definitely in this game, there's definitely numbers behind it. There's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice. It's not even just the hard work, it's the sacrifice, it's the market. I mean,
Yeah,
I learned something recently is everything's made up. Like the real estate
yeah,
market,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's made up.
yeah.
Like we don't know what a house is going to sell for. We don't know what it's going to, we can predict it based on
Mhm.
comparables, but like you said, you mentioned the pandemic or even if you thought back 2 years ago, could you have imagined that the market would have shifted in the last 12 months?
No. No,
No.
nobody could have. None of us have a crystal ball. No.
Exactly. And they always say the best time to buy real estate was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
day before, right? So it's like you can't predict those things, and those things they impact everything. The market impacts everything. And it doesn't matter how hard you work, there's outside forces that could
Mhm.
impact this. The pandemic was a really great example. I know I
Mhm.
built I had construction during the pandemic. The cost of lumber went through the roof, right? I couldn't
Yeah.
have predicted that, right? Um, what do you think is the cost of success that most people don't talk about?
Whew. Um, the cost of success. I
Hmm.
don't know. I think I don't like that question
Okay.
because it indicates that you're giving up something else. But
Okay.
inevitably, when you're choosing to do something, and it doesn't matter what it is, when you're choosing to be excellent at something, you're going to be giving up something. Every time you say yes to
Sure.
one thing, you're saying no to something else. And
Okay.
that's just a reality of life in general. If you choose to
Yeah,
spend this $20 on whatever, you're not going to have it for something else.
that's
So
right.
but I do think it's worth talking about, and it's worth noting that there are, when you choose to do something that is really hard and kind of takes you out of the general population and up into that, top 5%, top 1% of the
Hmm.
population, um, sometimes it really sucks because you're
Hmm.
missing Christmases, you're missing birthdays, you're
Sure.
missing, like, you are making a choice, but your choices are based on long-term goals. Your
Okay.
choices are not based on,
Today.
the marshmallow
Yeah.
test, right? There was that famous psychological evaluation that they did on children, and they said, if you
Yeah.
don't eat these marshmallows, you can have two, right? So
Right.
this is really a game of the marshmallow test. Are you aligned with your 5-year goals or your 10-year goals, whatever you've set out for yourself? And if you are, don't let these small things pull you off track. You need to make decisions that are in line with these goals.
And with the long-term goals, right? And with
Correct.
your corporate goals or your personal goals or your partnership goals, whatever it is, you've got your long-term goal. And if you look at it that way and you're keeping your eye on the ball, so to
Yep.
speak. If you keep
Yep.
your eye on the ball, then it doesn't necessarily feel like a sacrifice because you're making incremental movement towards your goal.
Yeah, and I always think of it, kind of in terms of aviation, right? Before a pilot sets out, and I'm not a pilot, right? I'm only,
Mhm.
but when a pilot starts out, they've got a set destination that they're going to, and they've got a flight path that's mapped out. And as they're going along their journey, they're going to have to adjust that flight path slightly because of turbulence or
Turbulence.
whatever else is going on as they're on their
Mhm.
way. But they know what their end destination is. There are certain things that pull them off course a little tiny bit every inch along the way, but they always go back to what their main path was, and the end goal remains the same. So that's kind of how I perceive my goals, and how I try and talk to my team about what our goals are as we're moving forward and what the objectives are. Yes, these hiccups in the game are going to happen. They're going to pull us off course, but the end goal is there. The timelines are still the same. The budget
Sure.
hasn't changed, and we need to still keep going.
Yeah, for sure you do. Our podcast is called Business Her Way.
Yeah.
What do you think that you excel at, or what is your way? Let's just put it that way. What is Kelly's way? Like if I was going to say, what is Kelly's way compared to anybody else's way that is uniquely yours? What is it about you that is Kelly's way in your
That's a great
business?
question. That's a great question. I'm a pretty straight shooter.
Hmm.
That's number one, right? Like, anybody who tells you, who knows me, will say, like, Kelly just tells you like it is. There's no sugarcoating. There's just,
Hmm.
yes, I have empathy for people, and that's not saying that, but this is what we're doing. We're going. You're either coming with me or you're not.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
the other
either
big
on
thing,
the flight or you're not.
yeah, right. Would you like to board now, or do you want to stay here at the airport?
Yeah.
Um, the other thing too is that I would never say that what I have accomplished is what I have accomplished.
Hmm.
Yes, I am the face of it, that people see online, on podcasts, whatever. But I've
Hmm.
got a whole team of incredible individuals that nobody ever sees that are
Right.
working behind me. And we do a lot in terms of team building and events and
Mhm.
celebrations and working together to make sure that everybody feels like they are one cohesive unit.
Right.
There's nothing, there's very, very, very few times that, my team's going to come to me with a problem and I'm going to unilaterally make the decision. This is an
Right.
us decision. We have a goal, we have an objective, we're trying to get there. Let's make the decision together.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm higher up on the hierarchy than they are. We are one cohesive unit. And so I think that's a big differentiation, is that, I'm not me because of me. I'm me because of my amazing people that I surround myself with.
Yeah, because of your amazing team, right?
Yeah.
And you want to give them the autonomy to make decisions, and so long as everybody understands what your goal is in your business, it makes it easier for them to
Hmm.
make decisions because they're aligned with your goals. And if they have the autonomy to do that, then you do work as a team and you see that cohesiveness through the journey, right? Like
Hmm.
and it's interesting because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and quite often, the ones that are the most successful, I find, are the ones that trust their team.
Hmm. Well, and we kind of reverse engineer things too, right? So like even with our contracting team, we get to know each of our trades and say like, what are your 5-year goals? What are your financial goals? What are your personal goals? And when they share those things, it's like, okay, in their minds, they're sharing financial goals that are so far out of the stratosphere that they think they can't achieve. And then I go, well, actually, we can probably achieve that and we can do it this year, and here's how we're going to do it. And then
Right,
it motivates them to work on the job that they are, working on with us,
right.
to do it in a fashion that we can do it, faster, more on budget, on time, all the rest of it. And it helps everybody. So that's how we kind of get that cohesion.
That's amazing. Do you think that, I mean, you talked about your team's goals and what their lifestyle goals are, maybe. Um, when you think of your team and you think of yourself, do you think that your relationship with money has changed since you've become an entrepreneur?
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember, at the very beginning, I was I was terrified at the idea of quote unquote spending money, I
mm,
guess.
hmm.
Um, I come from a background where growing up, we literally had nothing. We stood
Yeah,
in line at food banks. We were,
yeah,
very close to being homeless. And so the idea of spending $100,000 at the very beginning was such an insane amount of money to me that
yeah,
it was very, very, very scary. And I mean, I still take it very seriously, and I still have a huge respect for for money as an
hmm,
entity, but I also understand that it's an energy, right? Like the more you use it, the more it will return. And we're not talking about spending it on, consumer stuff. We're talking about
yeah,
investing it in a very strategic way.
right.
um, and you start to understand it and respect the cycle of money and how it can work.
It's it's amazing how when you come from little,
Hmm.
and I've been there. When you've come from very little resources, how much you respect those resources,
Oh, for sure.
right? Like it's incredible how money and our relationship with it has changed. Is there something that you wish women talked about more openly when it comes to money?
Oh my goodness. I mean, just as a woman speaking to another woman, I wish that women had the conversations, and I wish that women talked about these things, at a round table, and talked about the importance of being able to be financially independent. First of all,
Hmm.
like not to say that, all relationships end badly, but you know, women have only had the opportunity to be financially independent for a very short period of time.
Hmm.
And so ensuring that you can have that independence, ensuring that you have good credit and understanding how credit works. I mean, being very honest, I learned a lot of that from you in the very early days, right? I didn't understand how revolving credit worked and all of that stuff. And that was something that, we learn. And it's what's, as you learn it, you pass it on to other women, and lift other women up and teach them how it works so that they can
Right.
be safe and secure and independent.
Right. That's a really good response. I agree with you in that. It's having the discussions. It's talking about how money works, right?
Hmm.
It's so important to talk about how it works and to learn how it works and to share it with other people, right?
Yeah.
Um, you talked about your team a little bit, and that's, one of your support systems that makes this possible for you. Is there any type of support system that you use on a regular basis that's technology based that helps you in your day to day?
Oh, absolutely. At the very beginning of all of this, we set up um, our own internal, we'll call it portal database.
Mm-hmm.
And I give full credit to my business partner Ian for really pushing me through. Technology is not my love in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I understand that it's a necessary evil, but we spent hours and hours and hours setting this up, and it has taken us through some of the most difficult times. And it it really sets up as um, a portal for all people to come through. So
Okay.
our tenants are able to pay their rent through this portal. They're able to text us and email us through this portal. They're able to log maintenance issues through there. And from
Amazing.
that, we're able to send it out to our contractors. So if somebody has a leaky faucet, I send it to my contractors who communicate through the portal. And then our
Mm-hmm.
investors have real time access to this. So they can log in and they can see copies of all of the money that's been spent, and every month the bank accounts get reconciled and they can see where things are at. If I spend money on a sheet of drywall, that comes up in there. They can see all
Right.
my tenant communication. They can see all my contractor communication. So it's a very, very open platform specifically for my investors. But
Mm-hmm.
it just keeps everything really central and in one place. So I'm not always spinning my wheels trying to figure out who's where in what time space, money, whatever. Because, at any given time, there's been times where we've had over 10 projects under construction at one time.
Wow.
Without that, I would never know where we are.
Yeah, that's amazing because I do think that if you lean heavily on technology, you can
Hmm.
put your data there. Data and information, knowledge is power. We
Yeah.
want to be able to share that information with our investors and with your tenants too. Given the tenants the opportunity to pay online, that's unique. Not a lot of people can do that. Um, it's it's been amazing watching your journey because I don't know if you want to tell the story of the little engine that could, but it always reminds me of you when I see Thomas the Tank. It reminds me of you in your early days. So maybe you just want to spend a minute or two and tell me the story.
Yeah. So when my husband Jeff and I, our very first investment property, Judi was coaching us through the process, and we had really small kids at the time. I was running a home daycare, and this property that we purchased was in a not so great area of town, but it was what we could afford, and we were going to rent it out. And there were a lot of conversations between you and I about whether or not I was doing the right thing, or I was Judi, am I destroying my whole family? Am I ruining my child's future? Am I, a lot of second guessing, but every opportunity that I had, we were in that unit, laying new flooring, painting, cleaning, getting it ready, and even things like learning how to post a rental ad on Kijiji was its own learning curve. Like everything was so new, and everything, because it was a new skill that we were learning, was so hard. And I spent a lot of time crying, admittedly. And the one day we were towards the end of our renovation, and I pulled up the blinds on this one window, and on top of the window ledge was this little tiny Thomas the Tank Engine. And it just reminded me of my son, and he really loved Thomas the Tank Engine. And I had sent you a picture of it and said, "This must be a sign. It's finding Thomas the Tank Engine here." And you responded with a text message and said, "Yes, this is a sign, and it's about you because you are the little engine that could." And
Exactly.
I always remember that. I still have that little wooden Thomas somewhere in a box that's moved several times with us. But, that just your words to me at the time, even though it was through text message, meant so much. And it just gave me the, you were empowering me, female to female, saying like, you can do this. You are making the right choices. Please keep going. You do have what it takes to do this.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I'm grateful that we have that moment, because it
Yeah.
was something really important to me and to you at the same time. And it was that pivotal moment that I knew you were going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like because you saw it as a sign, and I was like, "Yep, that is a sign. You're gonna just keep moving forward, and look at you now. Like, you're running an amazing, successful business, and I know that you have a team around you that supports you, and a supportive family and whatnot. To wrap things up, I just want to ask, what would a successful next chapter feel like?
Oh, I can't reveal all my cards at the very end here.
Okay.
We definitely do have some really cool goals that we're working towards. We've got
Mhm.
some new business ventures that we're working on that we're really excited about that
Okay.
can't share just yet, but they
Okay.
will be coming. And it involves us working with some very exciting people in the high net worth space. So we're really thankful for that, and
Mhm.
we're looking forward to watching this unfold.
That's amazing. Is there anything I didn't ask today that you think is important to say?
We've covered a lot of ground here. I don't think so, no.
No? Okay. All right. So you've got some exciting things coming down the pipeline. I hope you're going to share it with us first. Because I know that people are going to want to know exactly what it is that you're working on.
Yep.
And I'm excited for you just to see your
Thank
journey,
you.
and I want to thank you for sharing your story and sharing your um, what you've done in the last decade and just how you're doing your business your way and you're handling it in the best Kelly way possible. Um, I'm excited to share that with the viewers, and I'm really excited to see what's next for you because I think it's going to be pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Business Her Way with your host, Judi Paré. Ready to share your story? Visit businessherway.ca/guest to apply.